strength. It's not just about lifting bars. It resides within every unique journey. This is To The Bar, strength in every story. We're a community, a platform where stories meet strength. Our podcast is the result of our passion for weightlifting. From the first lift to the last, we're here to bring you the latest weightlifting news, to unravel the intricacies of the sport that will make you want to grab a barbell and hit the platform. This is To The Bar, strength in every story. And now for today's show.
Right then.
Yeah?
Yes.
Welcome to the bar.
Thank you very much.
That's all right. So we are on episode, what's it now, 110?
Yep.
110.
Well, not 110.
Wow. 110. Episode 10.
Episode 10.
And so this one we are going to be looking at, we've just come back from BUCS.
We have just come back from BUCS, which is the Thursday and Friday at Brunel University, which was great.
Yeah, lots of fun. I really enjoyed that one. I say that every time. But yeah, it was really good. Yeah. And it was quite a quick turnaround for us because we got back from Bangor 2 days before.
I think so.
3 days before. Yeah. So yeah, lots of officiating that week, I think. But yeah, so jump straight in. What were your highlights?
My highlights.
Yeah, BUCS.
I've had to of BUCS. So I've written some down. I've come prepared.
It's a rarity.
Yeah. So Thursday, I guess the one thing that really amazed me was the amount of 81 lifters. Yeah. We had what, an X and a Y group? Maybe not. Maybe a D group, didn't we?
Yeah.
81D.
Yeah, and we worked it out, didn't we? That something like over a quarter of the male, or of the competencies in general, were men's 81s. Because there were 200. Yeah, because there were 200 lifters overall.
Well, 230, wasn't it, or something?
And there were 4 groups of 12 to 13 in the men's 81.
Yeah. So quite a few. And I think it was one of the men's 81s. Might have been one of the lighter categories. But there was a guy who... And again, it's that whole thing of, for me, it's when you see lifters that, yeah, you've got to take it seriously, but you've also got to enjoy the event.
Yeah.
And he was buzzing, you know, you could see, I can't remember, he had blue singlet on. Was it Liverpool? No, Bristol?
I can't remember.
Shall I just list a lot of universities?
All of them.
But anyway, and they came down with quite a few lifters, and he was just so stoked to be there. I think he got his first snatch, missed a second, but had obviously sort of come with an idea of, I think his second snatch was an 85 or 86 or something like that, and so he went to 90, but I heard, because I was on Marshall's table, and I heard him say, I want 100. And the coach looked at him and goes, are you fucking crazy? You just missed 86, whatever it was. All right. So, and he put down 90, and I thought, okay, good. At least the coach is playing a bit of a game. He will put down maybe 95. And he got called. And sure enough, the coach came over, put 95 down. I was like, sensible. Let him enjoy it, but let's not go crazy. And then he went from that to, name called again. Coach came over, changed it to 100.
God.
And so he had a 10 kilo jump from the failed attempt, and so he went out and missed it,
but gave it a good go.
Gave it a good go. Came back and was still buzzing. He wasn't angry or disappointed that he missed it. It was just pure joy that he that was his target. He went out and he gave it, and he had a damn good crack at it. So that was one of those highlights for me.
I think it's one of the reasons I really enjoy BUCS so much is that it's the younger
lunatics.
It's a lunatic. Yeah, they just don't care, do they? I really enjoy watching that because they'll fling around whatever weight they like. Yeah. Half of them are there having a laugh. Half of them are really quite serious, but even then, it's quite enjoyable to watch that mix together. I think. I enjoyed that about that one.
Yeah.
So we spent both days on the Marshall's table, didn't we?
Yes.
And
I had a break and did reffing on one of them.
Oh yes, you did. Yeah.
Oh, which I rest Stefanos, which is another highlight. Which is great because I'd not seen, we've not seen him. He'd picked up an injury at the end of last year sometime with his wrist. Probably a bit earlier than that. So it was nice to see him back on the comp platform, and he ended up with a 141 snatch. Came out, missed his first 2 clean and jerks. I started getting a bit panicky, but fair play to him. Forever the professional, with Mike behind him shouting at him, "Stay tight!" He came out and nailed a 170 clean and jerk.
Yeah.
And power jerk, power jerked it because he was obviously. I think you said he came back after the second one, and you could see the frustration.
Yeah, he was determined. He wasn't gonna bomb.
Yeah.
Like, you could see it on his face.
And so,
As soon as he was under that bar, the brakes that he put on to stop, you could see it, couldn't you? Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was great. And then I think the last group, of course, was on the Friday. Was another highlight, but and that was, of course, Henry Axon and Josh Hutton. So Josh from Tyneside Barbells with Steve.
North Tyneside, yeah.
North Tyneside. And yeah, it was a sort of a bittersweet, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed watching Josh lift. So yeah, I mean, it was sad the way it ended, but it was nice to see him on the platform anyway. I really enjoyed seeing him.
Yeah, for those of you who didn't see it, but he was competing with. I mean, they were so close, so tight together with him and Henry, and Josh went out pretty much to win it on that. It was his second clean and jerk, wasn't it? I think he had another one after it.
I think he had another one.
He had another one after it
yeah.
because they called him and he had to pull. And part of his split didn't work. He felt something in the back of his knee, and he went down. And there was a yelp, and it didn't sound good. But we've spoken to him since, and he's going for an MRI. Doesn't sound as though it's too bad. Hopefully, he said he's aiming to get back for the British. So
yeah, and we've seen him back in the gym doing upper body stuff since then on Instagram.
What was that panda thing?
Panda, yeah, he was hanging off doing the chest supported rows, looking like a panda on a branch. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah,
but,
I like Josh. Yeah.
But and again, fair play to Henry who went out and first 300 on a comp platform. So
yeah, good for him too.
Because he was. I think he'd gone up a weight as well. They went.
Henry Axon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 96 before. Did you say? Yeah.
But yeah, awesome. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was a good couple of days. I was quite I say anxious, but we'd just done the weekend in Bangor, and that was a long weekend, and we'd had quite a lot of breaks. Like it'd been nice paced for us, really, compared to normal, wasn't it? To sort of do a little bit of reffing. You did some coaching. It was nice to have it a little bit slower.
Fit in the podcast. Went for dinner.
Yeah,
it was weird.
We ate. It was odd. So there was a small bit of me that was kind of thinking, all right, Brunel, we've got to be there at 7 a.m. We're not going to finish. The last group doesn't finish till 9:30 p.m. That's all three. Always food orientated. That's all 3 meals that were going to be tied to the Marshall's table, because that's where I was rotated. I didn't leave the Marshall's table. I think I did all my sessions on the Marshall's table. But actually, it was really great, wasn't it? So I didn't even notice that we were there. Were we there that late? I think we ran a little bit early on the first day.
Yeah, and the same with the second.
So we might have even left just before 9 on the Thursday rather than 9:30, 10. We had a good break for lunch, and we actually managed to walk around the campus at Brunel and realise that it's not just
one
the
building.
IAC, because we've only ever been there to ref, so I have only ever been in the IAC. I didn't realise there was a whole quad and shops and a subway, and now people coming in with food makes sense. But yeah, I think one of my highlights before I was to go on to anything else would be the change and how much feedback BWL have taken, not just from us, but from lots of different people, athletes, coaches, TOs alike, and the changes that they're making, because that really felt different this time. For 2 very long days with very big groups, I don't remember there being a technical problem. Not really, not like normal where something gets held up. Plenty of people came and offered me water, and I had enough time to get up and get my own anyway.
Yeah.
No, it was really nice.
Yeah, even so much as that, and the 5-minute break as well, on the big groups. I think that really works, because, and the athlete cards from the next groups were always there straight away.
Yeah.
We weren't running around trying to find them. They were there on the table. So in between, in that 5-minute break, folding them, getting them ready, putting the names on, doing the totals, and it worked really, really well.
And it's probably worth saying that in an earlier episode, I definitely slated the idea of putting a 5-minute break in for the bigger groups. I'm pretty sure when that first came out, I felt like it was just going to be more time that I couldn't leave that table for.
Yeah.
And the long groups were going to feel even longer for no reason. But actually, it really did work, and having the consistency meant that I didn't have to keep going and checking, are we going to have a break, are we not going to have a break? Because sometimes when you overrun, the breaks get cut, or they don't,
Yeah.
So the consistency of that was really good as well. And I think the scheduling was slightly different this time with the group, so there was a gap between each group anyway. So we ran ahead, and then there was a gap, which meant that what I noticed was the warm-up area was never really busy, because sometimes you've got people really desperate to get in the warm-up area whilst the other group is still just starting clean and jerks. But it staggered so well that a lot of the challenges just didn't come up this time, which was really nice.
Although I must say, for any athletes out there, why you would need to warm up so fucking early it just blows my mind. I was TC on one of them, and I think it was for your side on the red platform. So you were predominantly on the ladies' side.
Yes, the red
and
side,
it was one of these sessions, and they were just finishing the snatches, and there were people coming through, and it was a smaller group, so there was space. And so I went over and checked. I was like, "Are you all right with this coming through?" And I think it was to Claire and to Maggie, and they were like, "Yeah, we got space. It's okay for them to do it if they really want to warm up this early."
Yeah, but they had like an hour and 20 minutes. There was one of my groups where one of the girls came in and was stretching and doing mobility work as the group before her was halfway through snatches.
Yeah.
And she was just on the side of a platform, so there was no room for her. But yeah, I mean, one-offs, it wasn't too bad, but overall, I think it ran really smoothly.
Yeah.
I think it's just...
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely a highlight for me was how nicely that ran, considering we were there for a good sort of 12 hours a day, both days, really.
Yeah, and it just didn't feel like it.
No, yeah.
So it was really good.
Yeah. Other highlights for me.
Go on, sorry.
If you got another one, go on.
On the Marshall's table with the screens, that was great.
Yeah, that
so,
was one of mine.
Yeah, majority of people won't probably notice, but when we're on the Marshall's table, it's we have a sixth sense of just listening, waiting for the no lift. You can see it on the computer, but it's often a case of you hear the start of the lift, and then if it goes down pretty quick, it's like no lift, and you're already jumping ahead.
It's because on the for people that don't know, when you're on the Marshall's table, you've got the athlete card. We have to cross out if somebody's not made a lift, and obviously we put the increment in for the next lift. So if they've missed the lift, that increment will remain the same. So if somebody's gone out for a 140 clean and jerk and they've missed the 140, it will be 140 will be their increment or next attempt. And if they've made it, then we put in the 141. So knowing whether or not an athlete has made a lift is actually really important for the speed of the Marshall's table in terms of turnover, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But BW Olive had the addition, and when we got chatting to Matt, he said, some of the members of staff went back into the office to try and do some work, and they found their monitors nicked because they were on the Marshall's table, which is great. It was really nice to actually watch the competition, or have a side eye on the competition as we were marshalling as well, or TC.
Yeah, it's best of both worlds, because the reason I love the Marshall's table is because I actually get to see some lifting.
Yeah.
And obviously when you're a ref, you would think that you get to see a lot of lifting, but you spend so much time looking for whether a lockout is right, or whether the bar is fully, you don't actually get to just sit and enjoy the lift.
No, not at all.
So for me, the Marshall's table has always been my preference because I get to see more lifting, but then I'm always a little bit sad that I don't get to see the actual attempts on the platform. So this was great. It was also interesting watching the coaches watching the screen, because I noticed some of the coaches were able to sort of make assumptions about their competitors, lifters, based on their performance on the platform.
Yeah, so whether they struggled or...
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, listening to the coaches then being like, well, she only just made that, so she's going to do a 4 kilo jump, she's probably going to miss it, which means you're going to go out quicker than you might think. And that dynamic that the screen added was fascinating, yeah. But yeah, it's just those small things, isn't it, that BWL are sort of making the change with now. And we say BWL, and it is people like Claire and Maggie that are taking that feedback and putting in those seemingly small things, like robbing a colleague's monitor. But it made the day really enjoyable.
Yep, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Another one? I've got another one.
Come on.
The plates, incremental fractionals. Having coaches or athletes go up and sign off for them, I think it's an amazing idea, fantastic, and it actually made people clear up their area, because the amount of times, I mean, we did a in between some of the sessions clean up a bit, but the majority of athletes and coaches clean up their areas, but this made it a lot more cleaner. Because I think they're just a bit more conscious of the fact that I need these back, otherwise, it could have an effect on my membership. So
yeah, I quite enjoyed seeing all the coaches walking in with them like a handbag, to be honest, because for anybody that didn't see, the incremental plates were thread through a bike chain, essentially, wasn't it? Like a clothed bike chain, so with a padlock on. So that meant that the coaches were just sort of slinging it over their arms and walking in with a handbag of incremental plates, which was interesting to see. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it didn't slow the competition down at all. If anything, I mean, I can't speak for the front desk because we didn't see what that was like, but it didn't seem challenging for anybody, did it? People walked in with their plates, they walked back out with them.
Didn't hear anyone disgruntled about it at all.
And it seemed to work without the athletes or the coaches having to leave anything. A membership number seems to have been enough. So hopefully that's a compromise between BWL and the athletes and coaches, and that's something we can stick to moving forward, because I think it contributed to it, the overall running of the day. Yeah,
for sure. I'm going to pull out my list again. So screens. Great seeing Nick from Grip and Rip there. Also, we've mentioned him before in previous episodes, but it is great when you get footage like that, isn't it? He's although that GoPro on the top of his hat freaked me out a bit.
Oh, made me nervous. Every time he came around the Marshall's table, I was like, just get your head away from me, please.
Not that we sat there picking on nose or anything, but it was just a bit like, whoa, hold on a second.
It's also, you don't know what angles he's getting at, I'm not keen on any of these angles, but never mind him. He's 6 foot tall, so he's looking down on me as it is. But yeah, it's always good to see him there, and I think we said it when we had Chris Speed on. It doesn't matter what competition it is, it feels like it's an event if it's been covered by Grip and Rip, because the footage that comes out of it, it floods Instagram. I haven't seen anything but BUCS since we've come back, which is great. That's not a complaint. It's almost, I enjoy it just as much watching it all the second time round and actually getting to see what the athletes have got to say about their lifts and stuff. And that's just the footage that he's shared, freely. Yeah. Because obviously he's then going to sell the packages, which means we'll get a whole nother sort of wave of seeing all of that content, which is great because it just makes it all feel a little bit more professional and like a tier 1. Yeah,
and I mean, going back to the GoPro, as much as I found it a bit weird him walking up to the Marshall's table with it on, but at the same time he released the one with chatting to Stefano about so what are you aiming to hit, and that was quite interesting. It's nice to get that sort of athlete input. Quite cool.
Yeah, any coverage is more like wanted, isn't it? Anything that brings more eyes onto weightlifting, or even just shares what's going on at the tier 1s to people that have never gone to anything other than a tier 3. Yeah. Because I think we're quite privileged and probably forget that really, because not many people get to go to as many different competitions as we do. So the experience that we have of it just being a normal weekend isn't relative to everybody. So being able to see it from that perspective is pretty cool, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you reckon I can have one now?
Go on, what? Yeah.
Oh, go on, do yours.
No, go on then. You can have my next one then.
I don't want yours, I've got my own.
Go on then, what's yours then?
I wanted to talk about Alex McKay, because we sort of skipped over the...
No, she's just too strong.
We skipped over the first day.
She's insane.
Yeah, so she's in the women's 45 category, which, just saying it, I think I said to you earlier, she weighs less than my barbell with 2 yellows on. This is a whole human being, which is, pretty incredible when you then look at the weight that she's lifting overhead.
Yeah.
So I think she did 57 on her snatch, I think, and 57. It's 57 on the snatch, 73 on the clean and jerk, for a total of 130. Yeah. Yeah, which is...
It's incredible, isn't
it? Well, I'm trying to think what 3 times her body weight would be. It's near 3 times her body weight, isn't it? Math on the spot is not my strong point. So, yeah, so it's sometimes... I think really it was less about her body weight and more about the fact that 57, in comparison to her body weight, is a massive number. And 73 is even more so. So, for me, the highlight was watching her warm up and then watching her... She has like a routine, and I think I mentioned this on an episode before about the thing that Nigel Bluff said to me at age groups about your mindset and how every lift starts at the chalk bin.
Yeah.
And I've been really trying to use that in my own training, and I can slowly feel it making a difference, like how you approach a lift, or if approaching the bar exactly the same way every time, having something a little bit set.
Yeah.
And Alex really does start the lift at the chalk bin. Watching her go from her platform to the chalk bin, not the chalk bin on the platform either, but the chalk bin in the warm-up area. She approaches the chalk bin the same way before every lift. She has this little routine. She's sort of talking to herself. I tried not to listen too much, but sort of reaffirming what she wants from herself, goes through the motions of full extension and really hypes herself up before she goes out to the platform. And she did the same routine before every lift. She came off the platform the same way, whether she made the lift or missed it, and then started the next one the same way. And I think, for me, another beauty of the Marshall's table is being able to see things like that from athletes that perform the way she does. She just broke a record the week before at the Armed Force, the UK Armed Forces versus Home Nations. I think that was was it a snatch? I can't remember if that was a snatch or clean and jerk. But she'd been on that comp platform relatively earlier before that, and she still performs the same way. And that mindset stuff is really interesting to see. So that was a highlight for me, just being able to take a minute, because she was quite near the end of the group. It wasn't especially busy at that moment in time, and just watch her take her lifts. And then obviously the screen meant that I could actually watch her on the platform as well, which was fun. I enjoyed that. But yeah, incredibly strong. And the lighter bodyweight categories for the men and the women, they often have less spectators, I think. I don't know if that's because they're usually really quite early on the first day, and maybe it's just that people haven't arrived yet. But I think they're some of the most impressive lifters. Yep,
yeah, without a doubt. They're always my favourite lifters. Naturally, obviously, I think I've said before that I would gravitate to the 81s, men's 81s, just purely because that's where I should fit in after I lose a bit of my chub. The sort of heavier weights are impressive just purely because of the amount of weight. But for me, it's all about that body to weightlifting ratio, and you get those bigger scales down at the lighter body weights, and I think that's far more impressive for me.
Yeah, they move like dancers in those lighter categories as well. The speed under the bar, I blink and I'm like, oh, okay, the lift is done. Where did that go?
Yeah.
But yeah, she was definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah.
I didn't really get to see many of the lighter men because I was always on the red platform. And that first day I was back to back pretty much until the mid-afternoon. So, but I'm sure there would have been some impressive lifters on that side too.
Yeah, I didn't really get a great deal of time to appreciate much of it. Most of my groups when I was marshalling were like 14, 13, so it was...
Yeah, they were. You had a massive first group, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty hectic. Shuffling the bits of paper around with changes.
Like I kept referring to your Marshall's table as a Christmas tree because your papers was just your athlete cards.
5, 4, 3. Yeah,
yeah, there were so many athlete cards.
Yeah, but good. I think and great to see so many. So many different athletes of those weights, sort of coming in and being pretty amazing.
Yeah, and again, it's a hark back to what I've already said, but I might have dreaded that at one point, coming in and having a group of 14 and thinking, oh no, all that many coaches all around the table all at the same time, and there's bound to be something that goes wrong, and there's going to be not a scuffle, but when you get into a bit of a back and forth with the coach. But for me, it's really felt like things have changed in the back rooms of the comps, and probably out the front as well. I'm just not out the front as often enough to sort of reflect on it. But I said to you on the Thursday, I think it was, that it really felt like we were all one team that day, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it did the next day as well, but we sort of build that relationship now with the coaches that they know that you just want the best for their athletes as well. Yeah. So it meant that even when we had the big groups, it wasn't a pressure because A, we're a bit more familiar with the system, but B, the coaches know that we're going to do what we can to make sure that their changes go through on time and the athlete gets what they need. So yeah,
exactly. And I think I've said to you before as well that we are all there for the athlete that goes out and performs. Whether it be people on the front desk, the speaker, the timekeeper, marshals, the coaches, whoever it is that has any part to play within that competition. It's to help that one person go out on the platform and do the best they can on their day.
Yeah.
We're all there as a team to support that person.
Yeah.
So it's great.
It's just nice that it feels a bit more relaxed now, doesn't it? It feels fun.
Yeah.
It feels like everybody's just enjoying themselves now, not just the athletes, but it's like us and the coaches get to relax a little bit too.
Yeah.
Which I've really enjoyed that the last couple of times we've TO'd. Obviously, we've had some challenges before we started the podcast, which is sort of why we ended up getting to where we are. It's really nice to start seeing those changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good seeing Sarah Davis there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't realise, I forgot she was at uni, so when she walked in and started warming up, I was like, what the fuck, kiddo?
Yeah. Do you know what else it was nice to see?
You're a wrong comp, but no.
Wrong comp. It was nice to see Ramiro as well.
Yeah.
Especially after the World Cup.
Yeah.
Obviously, for those that maybe didn't see it, he also injured himself on the platform in Thailand, didn't he? He made a total though.
Yes.
Which is great. So he's just waiting. I think he said it's like a month, right, before he finds out if he gets a universality spot at the Olympics on the refugee team, which would be really deserved. I think he works really hard.
Yeah, he's back training again. I've seen him doing, I'll say lightweights.
Lightweight. Honestly.
I know.
What did I see him strict press the other day and I just skipped past it because I thought, no, it just makes me feel so small.
Yeah.
No.
It's always 3 figures.
Yeah, but so he was there coaching, which was really nice to see him. And he was talking about his baby coming on Sunday, and big old life changes for him if he gets to go to the Olympics as well. It's going to be a good year for him, right?
For sure.
I'm trying to think who else we saw coaching, and I suppose that probably leads me on to one of my other highlights, which was how lovely it was to see so many athletes also coaching.
Yeah.
So Steve from North Tyneside, on the Sunday morning before we started, he brought a couple of his athletes up, and one of them was Josh Hutton, who we've already talked about, and I can't think who the other one was. We was just talking them through the athlete cards and explaining what we do at the Marshall's table, and sort of asking me if he'd missed anything, if there's anything I would add. And then there was a couple of other coaches that did that too. Benedict, he had a couple of his athletes, Hithrick and Harry, who were also coaching in the back room. I think they've both coached before, but maybe not at Tier 1. But it was just really nice watching the sport grow like that, isn't it? Seeing all these young athletes coming in and showing an interest in coaching as well, and learning. Josh was in the back room from the Sunday. He lifted the last group from the Sunday, from the Thursday, and he lifted in the last group on the Friday. But yeah, so that's that community feel, isn't it?
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah, definitely.
What else we got on the list?
What else have we got on the list? We have marvellous.
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 Eddie Halstead. That's all you have to say.
It was
marvellous.
It was great seeing Ed again. Always love an event when Ed's around. And he, bless him, sat there and did every single session on the speakers, or in the speakers role.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here saying, we had 12-hour days, probably longer than 12 hours days. Eddie had even longer than that, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he doesn't stop.
No.
He just can't stop talking, obviously, because he's speaker.
I'll get horse after this.
Yeah.
And to do it for, 9...
And to keep track... there were some groups that I was getting, you have to really be quick to keep up because they're competitive, and the athletes are making, the coaches are making changes on behalf of the athletes. One makes a change, another makes a change, another makes a change. And all I would hear in the background is Eddie going, and she's gone up, which brings out, and then he'd announce the next lifter. And as he was finishing it, I was thinking, sorry, Ed, because I was putting through the next change. The bar is ready for, and they've gone up.
Yeah.
So I feel for him doing that for 2 platforms, for 230 athletes, for 6 lifts a pop.
Yeah, 2 platforms. I don't know. Yeah, I'd panic on 1 platform, but he's a natural. I think one of the things that made me laugh, I mean, obviously when you listen to him, there's all these little things that, oh God, he'll, where there's breaks when people are following on from themselves. They'll do 2-minute clock. And so it'll be, right, how do I fill in the gap? So it'll be, and for those interested, this is the weight of a small cow.
Yeah. I don't know how many babies that is, but it's at least 10.
Yeah. But we had, I think it was on the Red platform, there was a guy who came out and, was it his, I can't remember whether it's snatch or clean joke, but he missed it. But as he fell backwards, I was reffing on the blue platform, and as I looked across, because we were waiting on, it was a 2-minute clock, we were on the break, I saw him miss it, fall backwards, and the bar landed on him. And I just thought, yeah, that's his shin gone, because it landed, and I was convinced that he wasn't going to get up. That was, a bad injury. But he got up, sort of hobbled off, and went into the back room. And then someone said, I think you need to clean the bar. And so as they were cleaning the bar, Ed just looked over and went, yep, and I think they're just pulling a bit of a shin out of the bar.
I have got so much time for Eddie.
Yeah.
I really have. And he's probably one of those people where if you don't... I would hope that a lot of the athletes know him, but maybe if you don't work as closely with British weightlifting as the TOs do, you wouldn't necessarily know how much he does for those competitions or how much he has done,
Yeah, well, just his history of lifting.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy lives and breathes weightlifting.
Yeah.
And, well, what he doesn't know about weightlifting, you just don't want to know.
If I have got a TO question, I'm going to Ed.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got any weightlifting question, I'm going to Ed.
Yeah.
Because I would trust his judgment over all else. But he is literally the guy that builds the platforms, brings the kit. There's nothing that he doesn't do, is there? So, yeah, it's big up for Eddie, really.
Yeah, bless him. Because on the Wednesday night, I think the guys that were bringing the stuff down, the kit down in the van, they had a puncher, and so all the kit got there, and then of course they had to. The people that were there to help put it together, bearing in mind the platforms weigh a ton.
Oh, he did tell us that time that we helped him in Bangor. It was like 400 kilos a piece.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah,
they're heavy.
They're just ridiculous.
They're heavy.
Because he got me to try and shift one, and
hammer.
he put my back out. Yeah. That was one slab of 6 pieces or 5.
It took 3 or 4 people to move the slab, and then that massive mallet to hammer it into the next. Anyway, we've gone off on a tangent here.
But very quickly, so they all had to leave. The people that were helping to put it together, and so he did it himself.
See, that's Eddie, isn't it?
Yeah, strong as an ox still.
Yeah, but so it's always lovely to see him, and he definitely kept us entertained. My favourite from him will always be when somebody power snatches and he says, "If you can't snatch it, power snatch it."
For sure. Cool. That's all my highlights.
So I just had, other than that, was Bella Brown when she came out.
Another great lifter.
Yeah. Another one that does the same thing before she goes out on the platform every time with her headphones and her music. She likes to be told at a particular time on the clock when she follows herself. She likes to know that particular time, and it's just great watching how athletes with potential like her gear themselves up to go out and do those sort of PB attempts. And I think her and Sarah Davies have started training together a little bit more. So there was some kind of inter-competition going on there where Sarah had made a total the day before and Bella wanted to come and beat it. Or there was something there. And so she was going for a British record. And I think she did get the British record on both, didn't she, Bella? But the snatch, and I wish I had looked it up before we started talking. I know it was 90. I can't remember if it was over 90 or if it was 90.
I can't remember. All I remember seeing is that it flew up.
I have the video because it was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my favourite thing was the little squeal that she made. It's when lifters are really that excited or that shocked that they've made a lift, it makes all the stress sometimes of being a TO worth it. And her face when she came off that platform was like, yeah, that was easy. Like, that was a good lift. Yeah. It really was.
Coach Stu, wasn't it? That was there.
I think so. Yes. Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so seeing her,
she smashed it.
Yeah, seeing her was definitely a highlight for me. And then pretty much everything on my list is done, apart from just going back to some of the changes that we had for the technical officials for this particular competition. So the way that we all came together. So normally what we do before a competition is we all host an online, what do we call it, briefing?
Yep.
Yeah, sort of like a briefing in the evenings that we would attend via Microsoft Teams. And they've sort of changed the structure of that, so it's much more information-based, isn't it? And we had we all came together in the morning so that we could be introduced to the lead TOs and we could meet some of the new TOs that were joining us just for that day. And yeah, I think it was just really to say that things were different and you could feel that difference, couldn't you? And we actually saw quite a few people new that we hadn't seen before, right?
Yeah, and it's nice to see that Hiseo.
Yep, Hiseo, yeah.
She was there. Of course,
Jagan.
Jagan.
Yeah.
If you're watching, tuck your shirt in. But Dave Clifton, of course, coming back. It's good seeing him reffing again and TOing.
Yeah, we had Chris Campbell's timekeeper. Yeah. Obviously, Holly's always there. Nicole, again, who was actually supposed to be working. And
she might get done.
Nah, there's no way anybody she works with listen to this. Yeah. So we were short, weren't we? I mean, we weren't massively short this time to the point of it being painful. But there were gaps in the rota. And Nicole said basically couldn't see us with the gaps in the rota, could she? So she came and did her work in her pocket. And helped us all out a little bit. Yeah. I'm trying to think who else we saw.
Sarah Hilton.
Yeah.
She did the same thing when she was on a break. She said, I'm either going to be sat in the audience watching weightlifting or I could be doing something, so put me on the, make me do something.
Yeah, make me do
which
something,
is great.
Yeah. A lot of the British weightlifting staff had to sit in on the refs chairs when we did have gaps, didn't we? But overall, it was really nice. We saw a couple of the IWF refs, Alex.
Yeah.
Was
good
there.
Carol.
And Carol, yeah. Yeah, it's always nice to see Caroline, yeah.
Oh, Caroline even.
Yeah, it's nice to see her. But yeah, I think that probably was my highlights. It's great. I'm looking forward to next year's. I like seeing the lifters move through or some of the lifters that we see just at the start of their career and then watching them develop so quickly. Some of the jumps.
Yeah, so very quickly on that, Ben Redlich.
Yeah.
We've refed him quite a few times I guess, from Brunel's side of things, and just seeing him develop as a lifter. And this isn't just him, of course, but other lifters. But I'll just pick on him because it is great. He's one of those lifters that we love reffing and watching him. Again, he's got his routine down. He does take it seriously, but it's not. There's no, you know.
He enjoys lifting, doesn't he?
Well, we've got this thing that we don't like people that, or it's that disrespect to the bar. You know, that, you know, there's no reason why you would slam the bar down and sort of, you know, two fingers up to it because I've dominated it by lifting it. But you know, there's nothing of that. You know, that you do see with some lifters. You know, it's nice to see that sort of joy of lifting. And he's one of those people that does love lifting. And
the development, like you say, I mean, I've refed him a lot at all sorts of different comps, but because he does all the London Strength ones as well, doesn't he? Because I think, sort of Christian straddles those two clubs, doesn't he? Brunel Weightlifting and London Strength. So we've seen him a good few times, and every time I see his name on a start list, I get a little bit excited because I know it's going to be even better than the last time I saw him. So I think that's another reason why I like BUCS is for that. Some of the people that we've seen for the first time, and there were a lot of people that I saw for the first time at BUCS, which is rare because most comps you're seeing the same sort of faces and the same coaches, and this time lots of new faces, which is great because maybe that means that the sport is growing amongst the universities, which would be fantastic.
Yes. God, I've forgotten his name. The TO that was from Liverpool, and he said that they just started up the club, and I think they'd only got like 3 or 4 lifters.
Oh, I don't know.
They'd only been going for pretty much a year, or not even that. So again, it's just great to have, you know, representatives from that already going to BUCS. Is awesome.
So hopefully then next year we'll see more lifters from that club, but also then maybe other clubs from other universities that currently aren't represented, and see the lifters that we've already seen this year and be looking at them again and thinking, God, the difference that a year makes.
Yep.
You know, there was one kid, I can't remember his name, but I recognised him for his hair. His very distinctive haircut and glasses combo.
It's not a mullet. Every bloody kid's got a mullet these days.
It's a vague mullet, and it's shaved here and then into a mullet, and then he's got Anyway, doesn't matter. I saw him last year, and he's definitely put like 20 kilos on his bar since then.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice feeling to see them come back. So so that's BUCS, I reckon.
Yep, that's BUCS done.
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
I could probably talk about it for a lot longer, but I'm not sure people want to listen to it.
No.
So then, we should probably just hop back to Bangor because we didn't cover off the very last day of the Masters.
Yes.
And if we've managed to retain any of the BUCS kids at this point, they should hold on because they will be Masters one day.
They will be. So, not for a long time. I had someone that was, what was the date? We were trying to do the
2007 or something, wasn't it? You said.
Yeah.
I threw up a bit. So it might not be for a while.
Yeah.
But the sport doesn't stop just because you grow up. So the last day at Bangor.
Yep. So I coached. So that was Holly, which was great. However, I got into the back room and I was like, right, let's have the plan. And so she sort of talked me through what the warm up was and what her openers were and what the plan was. And then she got a tiara. I was like, what the tiaras? What are you doing? So, I lost a bet, or it's for a bet, and I need to wear this on the platform. I'm like, God, for God's sake, how are you going to keep that on when you?
She did, though.
She did keep that on.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
But she did, and I actually think it was Steve from North Tyneside again that dared her to do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Good for him. I can't believe she did. I feel like it's going to become a staple now, though, isn't it? Holly and the tiara, Queen Holly of the platform.
But no, she did amazingly well.
So the last day was the 35 to 40s, wasn't it? And
the juniors of the Masters League.
The juniors of the Masters. And so I did one seat of reffing, and I think you did as well, didn't you? Did you ref the group with James Hargreaves, or did I?
No, I didn't. He did well.
He did do well, yeah, because he was injured as well.
Yeah.
But did do really well. Lots of lifters that day did, though. It was really competitive again, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of that because, we saw him probably a couple of hours out before the company.
Yeah, in the morning.
I mean, I sort of messaged him before and seen how he was doing sort of a couple of days prior to that, and he said he wasn't too good after being for a scan and stuff. But I was surprised when he turned up. Surprised when he lifted so well, and fair play to him.
Yeah, good for him. So we had Holly, and then Chris Campbell.
Yeah.
Also, and then was this the day that we saw Lottie, who is from Team Breeze, or she might actually be coaching with Michaela Breeze. I wasn't entirely clear, but Hiseo, the new TO, we know her from Lower. She's an athlete from London Olympic Weightlifting Academy, so we were chatting with her, and she knows Lottie as a partner with Michaela. So anyway, she went out and attempted the 100 kilo clean and jerk, didn't she? And I so thought she had it on that last lift. I really did. I was filming her from the side, and I thought she's got it. She's got it, and the look on her face. But yeah, that was probably my highlight of that day, to be honest. The fact that we'd seen her out on the street, hadn't we? And she'd said she was going to go for it. So the fact that she got it loaded on that bar, I think was pretty incredible for her.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that probably was my highlight for that day.
Yeah, and again, I think, just the way it was organised, I think we've been very fortunate in the last couple, well, I'd say last couple, but quite a few of our most recent comps where we've had a good amount of time between sessions, and certainly for the Bangor one, as we left, we had plenty of time sort of between sessions to go and do some bits and pieces, went for a walk, saw Lottie out there.
Yeah.
But then on the way back, stopped off, had a little look on the beach.
Yeah, it's nice, doesn't it? It does make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it much less. It feels less like I'm giving for nothing in return when I get a little bit of time back as well, which is not that I ever really felt like I've been giving for nothing, but it makes me feel like my time is a bit more valuable when I also get a little bit of it to do, even just stretch my legs.
Yeah, because just appreciate the place as well.
Yeah, sitting all that time, my hips were not happy.
You old fart.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So, other things to mention. Hampshire Barbell Club. They did a
Club Cup.
They
hosted the first Club Cup. And I'm trying to think of the other clubs that are in it. So there's Guildford Weightlifting, there's Lakeside.
Yes, Henry was down there.
I can't remember the others, but essentially, from what I can understand, it's sort of like a tier 3 comp, isn't it? And then it's rotating amongst the clubs, and then there's some kind of competitive edge amongst the clubs within that. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting, isn't it, to see changes like that? We've talked about club cups and leagues quite a lot.
Yeah, it's been something I've been crying out for a long time, and looking forward to getting a core group from Atticus together so that we can join in as well. Join in that fun. Yeah,
I think that would be really great. I think we need something like that in London as well, don't we? In the sense, there's so many clubs in London. We absolutely could have a little London league going on.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, lots of fun. It's nice that that's the sort of direction of travel, I think. And then obviously, related to that, you've got, or we've had, a couple of examples of tier 4 comps recently, right?
Yes, I'm going to pull it up because I thought this was awesome. All weightlifting?
Yeah, let's say all.
Yeah. And so it's 2 snatches, 2 cleans, 2 clean and jerks, 2 deadlifts. 1 athlete to complete any 2 of the lifts. Total score for the team will be across the 8 lifts. First, second, third place based on Sinclair score per team. BWL standards, 3 attempts, 1 minute per lift. First prize winners shield and £200 SBD merch. So, which is great.
Yeah, so it's like a variation of, isn't it? Which reminds me of the Battle of the Barbell that they did last year, which I think was the sort of tester, wasn't it, to see if there's appetite within weightlifting for things to be a bit different. And I think maybe back then there wasn't so much because it was weird and different, wasn't it? And now it's almost like slowly British weightlifting have tried to introduce lots of variation or new things, and people have started to realise actually there could be it doesn't take away from a traditional competition where we do 3 snatch, 3 clean and jerk and get a total. It's just something additional on the side. That's fun.
Yeah, I was going to say that's fun.
Yeah,
it's gets clubs together and have a bit of a laugh. Yeah. Teams together.
Add some layers.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we talked about quite a lot with Chris Speed was the gap between tier 3 and lifting in your local club and then being able to qualify for the British or the English, and the lack of in between. So we could go round and enter every tier 3 comp going, but it's a bit boring, right? So I really like this idea that we're sort of, I say we, the collective we, but branching out into all these different things. So it reminds me of the one that we saw that Ollie and Emily are doing. Emily Musket and Ollie from Winners 2000. They're doing something similar, aren't they, with a CrossFit style competition that has a traditional weightlifting competition embedded in between or running through the CrossFit comp, which sounds great.
The Lift Me Up, can't remember what they called the CrossFit side of things.
Side, me either. But obviously we've talked about Lift Me Up before, which is a yearly competition that Emily Musket runs in to raise money for Motor Neuron Disease charity. So this is a really great addition to that, and I think we saw it, didn't we? And somebody from our club sent it to us straight away. I was like, "This is fantastic!" It's like, actually, maybe we need to be thinking a little bit more diversity like that, because just lots of fun, I think.
Yep, yeah, for sure.
So I think really that's all my highlights.
Yep, and mine, all my to-do list.
All your to-do list done. So our next episode, I'm sure people will be pleased to hear, we'll have a guest. So people
Not
have
us
to
just rambling
sit
on
and listen to us with no direction, ramble slightly for a couple of hours.
Talking about amazing lifters.
I mean, I'm sure they like listening to the lifters bit, probably not the filler in between. So we are hopefully going to have Holly Baker, TO of the Year, on next, possibly. And she'll be followed by Emily Musket, who we were just chatting about there from Lift Me Up. So really
looking forward to both of those.
Me too.
So I've just reached down and picked up one of your books that says Stronger Abs and Back.
It's a gift for you.
That.
What abs? You've had some time off. I thought you might need a bit of support.
Stronger barrel and back.
Oh dear.
But
anyway, if you got this far, thank you for listening.
Yep.
And we'll see you next time.
Cheers. Ta-ra.
Done.
Boom.
You've been listening to the Bar, Strength in Every Story. Thanks so much for listening. We're so happy to have you as a member of our community. We have a passion for weightlifting, but we also have an insatiable curiosity about everyone's story. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Instagram at _2_thebar. And be sure to hit the website at 2-thebar.com. See you next time on To The Bar. And remember, there's strength in every story.